Tiffanny Goodman has experienced what no mother should have to, the murder of her son. She took this opportunity to share her story with us, one that is compelling, emotional, and encouraging. Tiffanny, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
You're welcome.
I understand that you have a very compelling story and that you've done some things in the community to help other people as well as help yourself. Tell us just a little bit about you for the viewing audience who don't know who you are.
I'm the mother of 4 children, 1 deceased. On March 12, 2009 was the day that changed my life forever. It's the day that my 18-year-old son was gunned down and murdered here in our city. My son, Ste'von Goodman, he had just turned 18, March the 10th to be exact. The shooting occurred on March 12th. He was a victim of mistaken identity. Police determined through their investigation that the bullet was intended for someone other than my son. On that day, I'll never forget that day. He left the house about 3:40
In the afternoon.
in the afternoon. So say like 3:45. He left our home. And less than an hour later, I received a call stating that he had been gunned down. It was surreal. I just couldn't comprehend. It's like, who would do this to him and why? So from March 12, 2009 to March 16, 2009, I held on to the only thing that I had for him, and that was my love and my faith. And I fought so hard to keep him on life support, or just so that the doctors could come up with something that they can do to help him so that his life would not end. But unfortunately, on that day, at March 16th, at 2:11, they disconnected the life support. And from that moment on, I've been seeking justice for my son.
But emotionally, how are you today?
I can't say that my grieving process and my healing process has been complete, because until there's justice, it won't be complete. But through the stage play, Speak Up, Speak Out, A Mother's Cry Against Violence, I wrote the play actually November 2011. And at this time, I was speaking out to the community, just crying out for help, because I know that someone in the city of Saginaw knows who murdered my son. It's a murder that was captured by surveillance cameras, but to date, no one has been arrested.
Have you seen it yourself?
I've seen the surveillance cameras. I've seen the video. Yes, I've seen the video. The video shows my son's vehicle turning onto a street, and moments later, you can see a truck speeding up on the side of him. And the truck speed up, they catch up on the side, and then they speed off. And then you see my son's car crash. It veers to the left, and he crashes into an apartment complex.
Okay. No, they didn't see who it was, just that they have the vehicle that was involved.
They just have the vehicle.
Okay. Okay, and so one of the things that you're doing is the play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell us a little more about
the
that.
play. I get so emotional.
Okay.
Through this play, it is my hope that someone will come forth about the murder of my son, and not just the murder of my son, but about any murder. This play serves as a cry for justice. It's a cry against violence. And I wrote this play because I began to run out of things to do to get the attention of individuals, because the people's hearts seemed so cold, as if no one cared. I decided to write a play as a cry in the form of entertainment so that I can get someone's attention, and hopefully they will speak up and speak out about my son's murder, or they will speak up and speak out about murders in Saginaw, murders in Flint, murders in Detroit, just murders around the world, because it's needed.
Can you tell us a little more about the play?
The play starts out with my son in his 4th grade class, and I use that to just highlight bullying and violence in the classrooms. And so through the beginning part of the play, it's a classroom scene. There's about 10 kids and there's a teacher. And so my son and another student were selected by the teacher, Mrs. Brown, to stand before the class and give and read their essays on what they want to be when they grow up. And so during the time when they're standing before the class and they're giving their essays, the other students are teasing and picking and name calling. So I use that to highlight bullying and why it's important not to bully, and how bullying starts out with just a small teasing and a picking, and it's still a form of bullying. And then there's a scene where I show like Satan and one of his imps, and that he had a plan to destroy my son's life from a very early age because of the dream that was in my son to become a doctor, to become a firefighter, to become a productive individual in society that wanted to help others. Then there's the perpetrator in their family. And then I show what could have taken place in the lives of the perpetrators leading up to the day that my son was murdered. I don't know the individuals, I don't know who they are, but through creativity, I just kind of created their lives. And just showing that, because so often we see in the communities that you have individuals that come from broken homes. Right. And as a result of the upbringing that they received, they didn't have the training, and some kids went to school hungry, or they didn't have that motherly love poured into their lives. So this family, that's what I show in this family, and that there was actually a mother that trained her kids to sell drugs, that trained her kids to tote guns and to retaliate. And so I show in the play the perpetrators that murdered my son. They murdered the wrong person, of course, but they went out to retaliate against someone that had shot their house up. Mm-hmm. And then there's the whole love and forgiveness at the end. The mother, she turns her son in to the police, and I forgive them.
Speak out. Don't you hear what this mother's heart is crying about? Speak up and speak out. Don't you understand this mother's heart is crying out? Mothers crying, children dying. We must put an end to this crazy sin. Lift up your voice. You gotta tell what you see so we can live and be free. Come on, let's take back our communities.
If only my love could have saved you, it would have paved you a path into which you never would have stumbled. The earth would cease to quake, not even a rumble. It could fight the meanest lion in the deepest jungle. If only my love could have kept you here, you would have lived Methuselah's years. I'll miss your smile, your laugh, your smirk. You made me feel best, even at my worst. I taught you God's word, and you knew how to pray. You never complained, and you always obeyed. My son, if only my love could have saved, you'd be invincible as Superman. Instead of a cape, you have the armor of God with sword in hand. Your quiet, respectful, humble ways will bless me for the rest of my days. See him in heaven, walking on streets of gold.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to share, or a message you'd like to give to the community about what happened to you and your family and your son and your play?
If there isn't an awareness raised concerning the violence, it'll never cease. Okay. So as a community, united we stand, divided we fall. We gotta come together. And you never know when it's you. And so often I hear individuals say, well, it wasn't my son, but what if it was your son?
Correct.
What if it was your son? What if you wore my shoes and you were the individual that was crying out for justice, because someone just wrongfully gunned your child down? That's the hardest thing for a mother. After my son was murdered, I had to walk to receive his diploma. That was the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
And no mother should have to do that. I guess the final question I want to ask you is, so as of today, his murder has not been solved?
It has not been solved.
Okay.
And I refuse to give up. I'm going to continue to fight for justice, and I'm going to continue to encourage mothers around the world to fight for the justice of your child.
Okay. Thank you. And keep fighting.
Thank you.
If you have information about this case, please contact Crime Stoppers.
Don't you hear what this mother's heart is crying about?